Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Global Chief Commercial Officer, Marriott International, Stephanie Linnartz, in discussion with Skift Executive Editor and Founding Editor, Dennis Schall.
Stephanie, thanks for being here.
Wonderful to be with all of you. Good morning, everyone.
First, some logistics. Can we see the Skift research slide? And also, don't forget to put in questions into the Skift forum app, the sessions Q&A tab, and then we'll ask some of them with 5 minutes to go. So, Stephanie, you gave me this mind-boggling statistic that Marriott opens one new hotel every 16 hours. Whoops, there goes one.
Yep, that's right.
A lot of hotels, perhaps 600 a year. My math isn't that good.
We are growing very rapidly, particularly post the acquisition of Starwood Hotels and Resorts,
Right.
which was the deal closed at the end of 2016.
Right.
So we have 30 brands. We're in 7,000 hotels, 130 different countries, and we're opening a hotel one every 16 hours somewhere in the world. Another interesting statistic: we're opening a new hotel in China every single week.
Wow.
And of course, hotels just don't pop up out of the ground. So there's a lot of planning that goes into, and a lot of work with our real estate partners to open those
Right.
properties.
So, and you're getting into more international at the same time. So, according to our Skift research slide, pre-Starwood, you were about 23% international, and we calculate you're about 38% international today. So, you're opening up new hotels in different countries. So a lot of them have different owners, different currencies, different languages, different tech. How do you approach that from a technology perspective?
Yeah, it is. It's complicated. And as you know, and a lot of people don't know this, I'm sure this audience does, that we, for the most part, we do not own our hotels.
Right. Asset
we work
light.
with asset light. We
Right.
manage and franchise. We work with, I think we're down to something like 15 hotels that we own. They're all for sale, by the way, if anyone would like to buy a hotel. To your point, we're growing very rapidly outside the United States.
Right.
The U.S. is still our biggest market. I mentioned the statistic in China, but growing in Asia, in South America, and Europe, all around the world. But it is complicated because you are dealing with all the different owners or franchisees, depending on which one it is. You're dealing with different technology, different consumers, right? There's some things that are, I think, somewhat consistent in what travelers want around the world, but there's tons of things that are different and very particular to a region or a country. So we're always trying to stay on top of consumer insights,
Right.
As the team at Skift is, and understanding what do consumers want, anticipating their needs, thinking about not just what they want today, but
So
what
it's
they
certainly
want.
not one size fit all
No.
when you go into a
No, absolutely
different country.
not. Yeah.
So you just came through the Marriott Starwood integration,
Mm-hmm.
and you told me you thought it was more complex than even an airline integration. Anyone from United Continental in the audience? They might have something to say about that. But why was it so complex, and what happens next?
Yeah, it was complex. It was, for our industry, the biggest deal ever at $13 billion plus. And it was complex for some of the reasons we just spoke about a moment ago: the diversity of brands, locations, and different than the airlines or other industries. We don't own the hotels, right? So when you're doing a big integration, you're dealing with lots of stakeholders in terms of the folks who own the real estate. So that made it very complex. 130 different countries. And from a systems perspective, it was really complicated to integrate all the Starwood systems, reservation systems, loyalty systems. I could go on and on.
Right.
And put all that together. So it was very complex, very rewarding. I learned a lot. My team learned a lot, but I think it was harder, honestly, than any of us thought it was going to be.
Right. And speaking of Starwood systems, you had the breach of the Starwood reservation system. I think the breach occurred before the merger, but you had to deal with it post-merger. So what kind of learnings did you emerge from with that? What's different now?
Yeah, that was really hard. We really deeply regret that happened. I've worked at Marriott for 22 years, my whole career, and it was one of the more painful, tough things that I've ever had to deal with, because that's the trust of our consumers, right? And we have an obligation, as all companies do, to protect consumer data. I think the way we handled it was humbly, I think the way all companies should handle it, very open, transparent. As soon as we found out about it, we disclosed it. We, first, in terms of priorities, was our customers, making sure that we were, again, fully transparent, open, and honest, set up things like web watcher service for free for people could sign up for, a portal where people could check and see if their information was part of it. So we worked very closely with law enforcement, et cetera. So we learned a lot. We've also invested, we were already investing a lot in technology and cyber security type efforts. We're investing even more. But I think my lesson from that, and I think other companies, no company is safe from, or no human being is safe from this whole cyber situation, is to be open, transparent, act with speed, and be swift, and do everything humanly possible to mitigate it happening again.
One thing that's interesting to me is we've always thought of the OTAs as technology companies, marketing companies, and that hotels, were weighed down with having to operate hotels, but you really have to be a technology company too these days.
Absolutely. I mean, our core business is managing and franchising hotels. That is our core business. But particularly in my job, that's actually, I spend more of my time thinking about technology, making sure that our website and our app is state of the art, getting into new lines of business that are powered by technology. So technology is fundamental to us delivering an exceptional guest experience, and it's even more important today than it was even a few years ago.
Right.
So we spend a lot of time, money, and effort on technology and on marketing too, to your point.
Sure. I think one of the more interesting things Marriott is doing is your dive into alternative accommodations. We now have Homes and Villas by Marriott International. It's not the 31st brand yet, but it's pretty close. So why get into home sharing when some of your most loyal guests will not be booking hotels, they'll be booking a vacation rental or whatever?
Yeah, we see our entry into the home rental market as complementary to our core hotel business. We've all seen over the past several years the growth in this space. And one thing that we recognize, because we talk to our customers all the time, is that our customers, and in particular our Marriott Bonvoy, our loyalty customers, they were using home rentals for very
so you
particular.
were losing them.
They were using it for very particular, for very particular stay purposes. And so we said, well, how can we get into this space in a way that's complementary to our core hotel business? So we did a pilot last year where we launched in 4 European cities, London, Lisbon, Barcelona, and Rome. We actually were trying to address some very specific gaps we saw in what's out there today in the home sharing / rental space.
Like what sort of
So
gaps?
I think some of the gaps we saw, number one, is an inconsistent guest experience. Like just overwhelmed with choice and through some of these players, just so much. And sometimes the experience has been very good. I've actually stayed at many, I've stayed at home rentals before. Sometimes it's excellent, sometimes not as much, but inconsistency in the guest experience, not really a lot of branding. And secondly, in some cases, not following the laws, not legal. So we decided to step in a way in the premium and luxury tier and offer
which
something.
Airbnb entered this week.
Yes, they just read some information about the launch of their luxury segment. We're playing in the luxury and premium segment.
Right.
So I think the key difference between what we're doing and other players are doing is, number one, it's branded. Homes and Villas by Marriott International. We have very strict criteria about how you get into our program in terms of quality, design, completely legal. I mean, that's first. But the most significant difference is you can earn and burn your Marriott Bonvoy points. So imagine you travel a ton for work, you stay at one of our 30 brands around the world, you accumulate a lot of Marriott Bonvoy points staying at Courtyards or Sheratons or Ritz-Carltons or St. Regis, whatever, then you have those points and you can redeem them for a castle in Ireland. So the idea of having more things that people can do with their Marriott Bonvoy points, including home rentals, makes Marriott Bonvoy stickier.
And experiences, you can get a private swimming lesson from an Olympic gold medalist.
We did. Yep. We invested in a startup a few years ago and done a lot of partnerships in this space with experiences. We offer hundreds of thousands of experiences all around the world. Everything from the duck boat tour in Boston to something more bespoke, like a private, swimming coaching session with an Olympic athlete to a wine tour in Tuscany, you name it, we've
Probably
got
takes
it.
a few points for that, right?
Takes a few points. Well, it does. The points, the pricing is different based on what you get. But again, the whole idea is that makes what we're doing unique is you can earn and redeem your Marriott Bonvoy points for hotels, for experiences, for now home rentals.
I sort of
and
hate
all
to
around the
mention
world.
it, but it's because people use this phrase loosely nowadays, trying to become the Amazon of travel. I mean, offering all different kinds, keep people engaged with your platform for all different kinds of inventory or whatever.
I think that's exactly what we're trying to do. To your point, others are as well. We want to be involved in the travel journey beyond the four walls of the hotel. That's what we're trying to do from the moment people are thinking and dreaming about travel to post-stay, everything in between, and again, beyond just hotel stays.
Right.
I think that travel is a big space. I personally don't think there's going to be only one winner at the end of the day.
So you're not going to quit because Airbnb entered the market?
No, we're not. We're not afraid of competition at Marriott. So, but we think there's going to be a number of winners in travel over the years. We're quite certain we're going to be one of them. And I think the people who win in travel are going to be ones who think about the guest experience very holistically, the whole travel journey, and are constantly experimenting with technology to enhance the guest experience.
You talked about a consistent guest experience, but unlike Accor, and I'm not sure about Wyndham, you don't own any of the properties. So you've gone a different route. You're basically a distribution platform.
Yeah, we own very few of the hotels, as I mentioned, and it really is about what we're providing is the promise of one of our 30 brands. Again, everything from luxury to more select service, Courtyards, Fairfields, all the way up to St. Regis, Ritz-Carlton, Edition, W. So we've got this big, wide offering for consumers.
So what are you seeing about changing consumer behavior? Are you getting new people booking those homes and villas, or is it your elite loyalty members? Who's doing it?
It is in both our pilot and currently, since we've launched the business, it's close to 90% of the people booking the homes and villas through our offering are part of our loyalty program. Close to 90%.
Does that have to do with the way you're marketing it, or?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
We, of course, as you can imagine, are marketing the homes and villas through our own channels,
right.
And also to our Marriott Bonvoy members. I mean, a critical strategic reason to do this is to make the Marriott Bonvoy program stronger, stickier, deeper, richer. So it's not surprising that the great majority of people that are currently taking advantage of our homes and villas are part of our loyalty program. And so that's not surprising to us. And we actually, that's what we want. We want people to join our loyalty program. And
Someone said to me the other day that Airbnb is illegal in many of their major markets. Do you have those kind of concerns?
No, we are absolutely diligent about making sure we follow all laws, regulations in any market where we do business.
That in itself is a mammoth task just to keep track of them,
and
right?
we will. The thing about it though is if we find any problems, we can get the home off our site in a second. Unlike startups, we can't be who have over the years been able to do things like that are not legal in certain markets. We can't do that, and we won't do that, and we can't do that. So we are absolutely diligent about following the laws in this space. And again, home rental has been around for a long time. I know we talk about it so much, but renting homes has been something that's been out there for a while.
Sure.
And of course, it's bigger now, and it's enabled by tech now in a deeper way. But we will absolutely follow the laws anywhere we do business.
In what way is it more enabled by tech now?
Well, I mean, I think, like everything in the world, right, when you have a tech platform like the big players in home sharing and home rentals and Marriott now, you just can get so much inventory out there to people so much quicker and expose people to it. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Let's talk about China. You have a joint venture with Alibaba, and I think in your most recent earnings call, it was mentioned that more than 50% of your new loyalty signups are coming from China. So can you tell us a little bit about the joint venture?
Yeah, close to 50% of our new signups. So we have 130 million plus members of Marriott Bonvoy today. We're signing up new members, 1.5 million new members every single month. North of 40% are coming from China. So we're signing up a lot of people from China. And a big part of that, and a big reason why, is our joint venture with Alibaba. And we are really excited about the prospects of business from China. By the way, in my Instagram feed, I got a very super.
I don't follow
cool,
you.
we got Stephanie Linnartz Travels, but you're in the Skift Instagram feed. You guys had a super cool infographic about the growth of China,
right,
where you did that cool thing layering up with all the business coming out of China. So 150 million people will travel outbound from China next year. It will grow to 220 million outbound Chinese trips by 2025. So our joint venture with Alibaba is all about creating an elevated, better experience for Chinese travelers, particularly when they're traveling outbound. So what we've done is they, of course, Alibaba, they're tech experts, they're experts in the Chinese consumer. We're experts in global travel. We have physical locations, again, in 130 plus different countries. So we came together to create this, I call it online to offline offering for Chinese travelers, where through the Alibaba ecosystem and Fliggy, their travel site, Alibaba has something like 500 million monthly active users every single month. It's incredible. But through their tech offering, through Fliggy and our storefront, we can sell our hotels, all 30 brands, all 7,000 hotels, and in a way that's very intuitive for the Chinese consumer with the right type of offers. And then
is that design or what?
It's UX, it's the type of offerings we're giving to consumers through the Fliggy website. And then what we're doing in over 1,000 hotels and counting is we're rolling out a program called Liyu. And Liyu means serve with courtesy. And we're training our hotels around the world on having Mandarin speakers, Chinese newspapers, food. I mean, one thing I've learned about travel, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, is people love to try new food when they travel, but usually not for breakfast. People want their home food when they're for breakfast. So we have Chinese breakfast offerings in our hotels and gateway cities and other markets where the Chinese outbound travelers are going, as a few examples. And we make sure that we kind of have that Liyu stamp of approval on the website, so the Chinese traveler knows they can have this great digital buying experience on the Fliggy website. They know which Marriott properties around the world they can go to that are ready to welcome them with, again, Mandarin speakers, etc. And I think it's worth noting that we have, of our 30 brands, I think we have 23 of them in China right now. So the Chinese consumer knows our brands from their own country.
Right.
Then we have the joint venture with Alibaba, and we can really create this elevated experience for them. And there's just a ton of opportunity in this space.
Right. So people get more adventurous about food as the day goes on.
That's my experience. I don't know if any of you in the audience can relate to that, but yes, people love to eat when they travel. I know I do.
One thing I want to get to, can you tell us what attribute-based reservations are, and what your plans are, and whether this will be a game changer, or how do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, I think consumers more and more want to be able to pick the attributes of their room when they're booking travel. They want to know, can I guarantee a double-double or connecting rooms, or this exact room on this floor with this view? So we have been rolling out enhancements to our core reservation systems, which will be pulled through our website and app, where we'll be able to give
Is it a pilot now, or is it?
We are piloting, well, I think it's beyond pilot. We're beginning the rollout in hundreds of hotels, and over the next several years, we'll roll it out more extensively. But we are then going, sometimes people are willing to even pay a premium to guarantee certain attributes. And so we are going to be continuing to roll that out. It just, I think fundamentally it gets down to consumers wanting more choices and being able to guarantee more choices at the time of reservation and booking.
And are you using machine learning and AI to further personalize it?
Yeah.
Or how,
we're spending actually, just broadly speaking, a lot of money and effort around. We have so much data. The great chart that the team showed in the opening, about all the data that's in the travel ecosystem and even in the hotel ecosystem. How can we harness that data to make sure that we're delivering personalized offerings to folks, including, by the way, room type, right? If we know, what I've learned over the years lately is consumers are willing to share a lot of data with us, give us permission and share data, but they want us to do something with it to make their stay, to make their experience better. So one example would be using data and information to offer up through our attribute-based, offerings.
Right.
A room that, we know you have 2 kids, offer rooms that make sense, a hotel configuration that makes sense for you, as one example.
Sure. Really quickly.
Sure.
You're getting more international. payment systems must be a really big issue for you. Facebook just announced a new cryptocurrency, Libra, with Visa and MasterCard booking holdings involved. Based on blockchain. Is that on your radar? How do you view that?
Yeah, we're spending a lot of time thinking about payments. I should have mentioned, by the way, when I talked about the Alibaba partnership, that a key part of that partnership is rolling out Alipay in our hotels and post pay,
right,
which is the Chinese like to travel, without, to pay everything, walletless.
Sure.
So we've been spending a lot of time on payments. So we continue to look at all those opportunities. We've got an amazing relationship with Visa and American Express, and always partnering with them in terms of what are the latest and greatest things in terms of payments. But again, to me, it's not just tech for the sake of tech. It's like, what do consumers want? What are they using in the rest of their life, not just when they're traveling in hotels?
Right.
And how can we incorporate that into our business?
Let's get to audience questions. How are you managing the tension between big labor and automation?
Yeah, I think that the way I think about technology and our associates is that we think about how technology can help our associates take some of the mundane things out of their jobs so they can spend more time face-to-face engaging with consumers. We're always going to be a high-touch business, high-tech and high-touch. So I look at technology as a way to free up our associates.
What's an example of?
I think a good example of that would be the front desk. So more and more people now can check in and out on their phone. And in our hotels, soon to be rolled out to all of our hotels next year, use your phone as a key. So you don't need to check in and check out with the front desk clerk or even get a key. You can just do all that through. If you want to, you can still check in with, but that frees up the front desk person to engage with people, maybe be more of a local area knowledge expert, and have more people that can interact with guests one-on-one, face-to-face, and do something that's more impactful and interesting than just checking somebody in and out. So I think technology frees our associates up from mundane things so they can engage with, as human beings, with our guests and add more value.
Here's a question you must get fairly often. Why do Bonvoy points take 48 hours to be processed into client accounts? Is this something that will be improved in the future?
It is. This is something we're working on. It's related to our technology, and we are spending a lot of time currently looking at ways to enhance our core loyalty system and our core PMS. This is all about the PMS and the loyalty system and how they work together. So how can we invest more in those two systems so that points can post automatically to people's accounts? So we're working on that.
Expedia's head of hotels said to me the other day that he feels like Expedia's relationship with hotels is better than it's ever been. So here's the question. Are you happy with the Expedia contract? Can you shed some lights on your future plans for Expedia and other OTAs?
Sure, yes, we are very happy with our relationship with Expedia. The way we think about OTAs and other players in travel, Google OTAs, is they can be very, very valuable partners to us in driving incremental business and reach that we can't through our own channels, and particularly for infrequent travelers, particularly driving business in that regard. Our relationships need to be balanced, though, so we need to be thinking, whenever we go into negotiations with Expedia or anybody, we're thinking about what are our core principles. We want to maintain brand integrity. We want to make sure that whatever relationship we have is a profitable one that's driving incremental business at a fair and decent rate. Because again, we owe this to our owners and franchisees, right? They expect that from us. How do we make sure that we continue to invest in our own direct channels and have the relationship with the customer one-on-one at Marriott International? So these are not new principles to our partners at Expedia or Booking or any of the OTAs, or I could name any of them. These are our core principles. We live by them, and we find ways to work collaboratively with intermediaries and third parties in a way that's a win-win. And we feel good about the last deal with Expedia in that regard.
There's so much I could say about Google, but for lack of time, can you talk about, there was one before about what is the technology that you consider like that you're most anxious to implement at Marriott, or what do you see as the most disruptive thing happening in technology today that you could use?
Well, I think one of the most exciting things is how we use data and information in a way that's really powerful to personalize the guest experience. And like, that sounds great, those are great buzzwords, but how you actually do that when you've got so much data, how do you collect it, how do you clean it, use it, that's just so challenging.
That's everyone's dilemma.
That's right? Everyone's dilemma, and it's our dilemma. I think a really interesting space that we're exploring and others are too is voice, right? And how voice technology is going to change not just the hotel experience on property. We've been doing some experimentation with Alexa in some of our hotels, but it's beyond that. It's not just about the in-room hotel experience on property, but what about how people are going to shop for travel and book travel?
Right.
So I think voice technology is going to disrupt things quite a bit over the years to come.
And speaking of voice, we're out of voice time here.
Good.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Great to spend time with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah, great to spend time with you.